I'm going to preview the number 8 Baylor versus number 6 Gonzaga men's basketball game, which will be played on November 4th at 10:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN2. And technically, the game is in Spokane, Washington, though it is considered a neutral site because it's not Gonzaga's arena. They're playing in Spokane Arena, which has more seats than Gonzaga's arena. It's for NIL purposes on this, and I do not know the injury status other than Gonzaga already has one player out for the year, but he didn't even play last year because of injury. So I'm not even going to mention him. And I do not know the injury status for Baylor going into this game. And I am previewing this game ahead of time so I could just release it a few days before the regular season begins. Just so y'all know. And both of these teams obviously have newcomers. And I know technically in 247 Gonzaga didn't have any freshmen, but I know the roster says otherwise. But I'm not even going to mention those guys at all. But if you are curious about Gonzaga's men's basketball roster for this year, I'll just go right ahead and just put it in the description below, because I'm not going to mention every single guy on that roster. I'm simply not doing that. So, and obviously Baylor has some new pieces as well. So a top 10 showdown game, number 1 in a neutral site. What? That's the best way to start off the year, right? For both of these teams. So, Gonzaga's technically leading scorer that was at a different school at Pepperdine, and actually that's the same conference as Gonzaga, because in the West Coast Conference, as we all know, is Michael Ajayi, number 1, 6'7", 228-pound guard. That's a senior, and y'all can check out the stats in the description below just to make things faster here. And there's Graham Ike that played last year at Gonzaga, number 13, 6'9", 240-pound forward. That is a senior. And there's another guy, actually, ironically, we're going to play his team next, or former team next, and it's Khalif Battle from Arkansas, number 99, 6'5", 185-pound guard. That's a senior. I mean, that's just ironic. Then it's all obviously Nolan Hickman. We played against him last time. Baylor fans, if you don't recall. Number 11, 6'2", 183-pound guard as a senior. Oh, and this next guy you're going to be even familiar with a little bit because he actually played against Baylor in the NCAA tournament. And that's Braden Smith. Number 3, 6 foot, 108-pound guard. That's a junior. And there's obviously Ryan Nemhart. Number 0, 6 foot, 175-pound guard as a senior. So all those guys I mentioned so far are double-digit scores from last year either at Gonzaga or a different school. But you get the whole point. They do have some big guys coming up that y'all need to keep an eye on here. And that's Braden Huff, number 34, 6'10", 242-pound forward as a sophomore. And then there's Ben Gregg, number 33, 6'10", 230-pound forward as a senior. Both those guys above 9 points per game last year. And there's actually we're going to play against his former school as well. And that's Emmanuel Innocente from Tarleton State. Number 5, 6'5", 198-pound forward. That is a sophomore. Yeah, that's just ironic. Few of those times here. And those guys, he's like a 6.6 points per game, but y'all could check it out. And there's Dusty Stromer from last year, number 4, 6'6", 192-pound guard as a sophomore. And yeah, that's pretty much all the guys that are like 4 points per game or more you really need to watch here. Just to be honest, because literally, I don't need to mention Joe Few. I know I just said his name, but you don't need to know his height or weight or anything like that, or classification. And same thing goes for their, might as well just go over like one more guy technically, and that's John Seok Yo, Y-E-O, and I apologize if I butchered that. Number 21, 6'8", 215-pound forward as a junior. I think he might get more minutes because in case of foul trouble and everything, but I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, you got to learn for what you did in those practice games against, whether it's against yourself or some other, a school or two. That's just telling the truth. And granted, I do not know how Gonzaga is going to do this starting lineup. I wouldn't know a clue. And how they're going to manage all those minutes when all those guys, some of them were starters at other schools. I'm just telling the truth. Because when you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in double figures, somebody's going to be left off the starting lineup somewhere. So, So basically, I'm going to just say, continue to shoot on across the board. The officiating might be questionable. You got to get through it. You got to be a more mentally tougher team. You got to make plays to win. You got to come out with energy, and of course, you don't want to allow them to get scoring runs on you as much as possible. You got to out hustle them. You got to be smart with their fouls and get them in foul trouble if you can, especially to their better players. That way they could sit on the bench for a little bit. Of course, you want to also win the glass situation on the rebounding. I mean, that's the thing. And now I'm just going to transition to defense real fast. Of course, defensively, you want to make every shot as difficult as possible. You got to try to get some steals. Of course, contesting some shots and make it difficult for them. Of course, blocking shots would be even better, but you got to be smart with their fouling and all this. You got to limit the 3-point line and the 3-point line as much as possible, and don't let them live at the free throw line. Don't want to do that. I mean, especially if they're in the bonus, and the points in the paint, you got to limit that as much as possible. You got to limit the transition points / fast break and points out turnovers. Yeah, and you got to cause some turnovers, which leads into the Baylor offense. Get some points out turnovers. Sometimes the best time you're going to play offense is in transition when it's like a 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 situation. You got to win and do fast break points as well. You got to get some good shots up, whether it's from the 3-point line or drive to the basket or even mid-range. You got to execute your plays on offense, obviously. And another thing across the board, you got to make adjustments on the fly. I'm not just talking about from first half to second half, but during the first half, during the second half. Or even media break, media timeout to media timeout, timeout to timeout to timeout. So that's another thing I got to mention across the board. You got to take care of the ball. You want to limit your turnovers so Gonzaga does not get any points off turnovers. And of course, you want to not have block shots. So many of them on you, and try to hit the glass. Guy rebound the ball and get some second chance points. And obviously on defense, you want to limit those second chance points. When you get to the free throw line, make your free throws count. Especially if you're a guard that's good at free throws. And sometimes it's in the difference in the game. Whether you win or lose is at the free throw line. Or if you go try to tie the game and it does make a difference there. So, what I'm saying here, and don't have illegal screens, dead ball turnovers, an illegal screen or an offensive foul. I mean, that's the thing. And this is literally a great test for both of these teams because both of them are expected to be really good this year and everything. And if you are down, Baylor, you gotta stay resilient. And if you have a lead, protect the lead. I mean, and especially in those closing moments in the game when it's tight. It's tight ball game and you're on defense. You gotta get a stop, get the ball back, and try to score for the win. And obviously, putting a game away, you gotta be really good on their side out of bounds. and during like getting the ball from the, whether it's from the side or baseline, especially when they're going to try to foul you if you are up late in the ball game. So I'm just going to stop it right there. Y'all can check out the stats. Some of it, I get it skewed because of the competition from other schools and everything. But you get the whole point on how good these players are from Gonzaga here when you look at the stats. And obviously, Jeremy Roach, I'm not going to single any players out, but like a Jeremy Roach needs to step up in this type of game. He's used to it. Same thing goes for No Chad Almir. VJ Edgecombe, he's going to be something special this year. And he definitely needs to step up, and hopefully Langston Love is going to be okay down the line. I know they're trying to be careful with him in the preseason before the season begins because you got to think about long term for him. I mean, that's the thing. And Jaden Nunn or like Robert Wright needs to just learn from like Jaden Nunn, Langston Love, of course Jalen Celestine off the bench, and obviously another thing across the board here. You got to have some bench points to help the starters out and try to have more bench points than the other team. I mean, I'm just telling the truth about it is. I mean, because those guys do matter. They do. And Josh Uche just needs to step up in his role. And who I don't know about any, like the third string big guy for Baylor right now. It's either Marino or Giannis Jonga. But if they need to step up, they need to step up in their separate roles. But you get the whole picture here on this. And I expect both teams try to make adjustments to each other's lineup because, you know, at times maybe Baylor has no Chad Omier at the 5. And, you know, he was a double-double machine as all his career. Both the group of mid-major level and now the power conference level for the last 2 years. And obviously you got to be smart with their fouling too. And not just limit it, but you got to be smart with it. I mean, and obviously on free throws you got to box out. Especially you don't want to have like somebody getting a rebound and then putting it back in. Or kick it out for a 3. Right after the free throws. So I'm just telling the truth here. And regardless, you're going to learn a lot from this game. Especially when you're going against Arkansas the following game in Arlington, Texas. So, anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later on the road to 7 subscribers. Goal is 1,000 more. So make money out this course. Like a video, comment video, really helps YouTube algorithm so more people see it. Sharing the video does help as well, so more people could watch. And if you're watching and not subscribed, hit subscribe button to ring the notification bell as well.